Some years ago an anon called TheArchivist began posting a ton of green texts he had physically archived from old/x/posts. Here is part 2 of some of the spookiest of these stories.
There was something really fucking wrong with the house I grew up in. Live in the deep south in a house that used to be on a plantation. It is 100% haunted. Know for a fact that less than 200 feet from the back porch are a couple of unmarked graves. 99% of the shit is normal ghost stuff. Doors closing, weird smells/sounds, animals going apeshit, no apparitions or anything though. I fucking loved it. Wasn't afraid of any of it. Sometimes brought friends over to scare the shit out of them. That all changed when I was in high school. Totally normal day, less activity than normal if anything. Go to bed, everything is fine. Middle of the night, wake up because something is tapping loudly on the wall under my bed. Tell whatever it is to shut up and let me sleep. Tapping doesn't stop. Wonder if maybe some animal got in. Look under bed. Nothing. Turn on bedside light. Look toward the middle of the room. There's a fucking guy floating upside down about a foot off the ground. There's a rope around his neck that goes through the floor. Neck is grotesquely stretched out and the skin is torn. Eyes are closed, tongue is all swollen and black. I go cold and freeze. Can't look away, can't move. Not gonna lie, pissed myself. It just floats there for a minute. Then it starts coming toward me, fast. I try to scream but I can't. Thing is so close I can see the exploded veins in his face. Finally manage to scream. It's gone so fast I don't even register it for a second. Parents come running in. Tell them what happened. It's just a bad dream after that I was freaked out constantly and it got to the point that I couldn't even go there anymore. I moved in with a friend down the street until I graduated and left for college.
Baby brother and I go camping in the Rockies each year. This year we decide to do something a little different and switch up camping spots. Scout the area, end up choosing a very secluded place out near a small river. We're about 50 miles from the nearest town and we haven't seen another car in hours. It's off season. We end up getting baked and have a good time running around like assholes, breaking branches and throwing stuff in the river. Water is way too cold to swim in and we have no fishing gear, so we mostly ignore it aside from throwing stuff. Later, it's getting dark and we've got our fire going. I'm making dinner and brother is out getting some more firewood. He comes back just in time. It's basically full dark. Toss some wood on the fire, start eating dinner. We start hearing snapping coming from somewhere to our south. We have our rifles and I have a small knife. We call out to see if it's another person. No answer. The snapping continues until it's only about 10 yards from us. Stops. Brother and I are more curious than afraid at this point. I call out again. Someone comes out of the tree line and into the clearing where we've set up. Young dude in a hoodie. He asks us if he can have something to eat. He doesn't look dirty or hurt, but he seems really off. I'm reluctant but my brother tells him sure. Guy sits down and starts eating. I ask him if he's lost. He doesn't answer, just keeps eating slowly. Brother asks if he needs help or something. I don't remember exactly what he said, but this is the nearest I can remember. It's the gist of it, anyway. Guy starts telling us a story in this really low, monotone voice.
I'm from city name, state.
I can't remember those.
I didn't get along with my mother. We had a fight and she told me to leave. I've been walking the state since then. I don't know where I am. I think I must have taken a wrong turn. Probably just a wrong turn.
I'm more confused than anything, but my brother looks more and more concerned the longer the guy talks. I start getting into what he's saying.
I was supposed to meet up with the interstate. I think I must have just taken a wrong turn is all. My things are somewhere around here. I left home. I've been walking the state since. My mother and I had a fight. I think I just must have taken a wrong turn.
I'm so weirded out that I don't notice my brother has picked up his rifle. Hear the click of the safety and see he's got it resting in his lap. He's staring at the guy. The guy is starting back with a kind of vacant, surprised expression. You've had your food. I think it's best you move on now. my brother says. He moves his finger closer to the trigger. The guy doesn't seem shocked or even angry. He and my brother have a staring match for a solid 10 seconds of silence. Don't know what the fuck is going on, but I trust my brother, so I don't say anything. Guy gets up and walks slowly back into the trees, glancing back every few steps. Notice his face starts to sag a little, like the strings have gone out of it. Eventually he disappears back into the trees. After a good long silence, I finally ask my brother what the fuck just happened. He's clearly shook up. You didn't notice? The whole time he was talking to us, dude never breathed. Not once. He just paused to make it seem like he did. Of course I shit myself and we decide, dark or not, we're getting the fuck out. Get loaded up and drive the fuck out of there. As we're leaving, we see a few flashes of what might be a person through the trees. We floor it and don't slow down until we hit the next town. Decide to stay in motels for the rest of the trip. Dad's a cop. Tells me about how he'd gotten sent out on a domestic violence call. Isn't given a lot of info about it, just told to hurry up and get there. First to arrive. There's a guy sitting on the curb in front of the house. Totally calm. Dad asks what's going on. Guy says he needs an ambulance. What for? Dad asks. For the body inside. That's how he phrases it, the body. Guy says he wants it gone. Dad's getting really concerned but waits for backup. Backup gets there, they go inside. House smells like rot. There's definitely someone dead in here. They work their way to the back of the house. Little utility closet at the end of the hallway. Open it up, there's a body inside. Closet is filthy, looks like it's been lived in for months. Scratch marks on the door. Guy calls from the living room. It's great, I won't have to lock it anymore. Body is a horribly emaciated girl. Something wrong with her eyes. Crusted shut with evil looking green and yellow discharge. Scratch marks like she's been clawing at it. Skin is covered in sores. Dad said the shit and piss in it was so overwhelming he almost threw up. The floor had actually started to rot. They take the guy down to the station, he seems totally calm and with it. They start talking to him. Dad and other cops manage to piece it together. Turns out the guy had gotten a divorce and it ended badly. Started having these thoughts that his kid wasn't really his kid. Starts believing she's some kind of demon. His proof? Kid has blood red eyes. Doesn't cry when he hits her. Guy legitimately convinces himself that his kid is the source of all his problems. Locks her in the closet and padlocks it shut. Leaves her in there to die. Kept saying that she didn't cry, and that's how he knew she was evil. Medical examiner finds out the kid has some kind of infection. Blocked her tear ducts. Hence the red eyes and lack of crying. Kid died an absolutely horrific death for no reason. Grew up in Arizona desert. People don't realize how fucking weird shit gets out there. Friends and I would camp out there and guaranteed we'd hear at least a few weird things or see some shit. Don't wanna say we got used to it, but we weren't not used to it at the same time. Have a ton of stories, but this one fits the thread theme anyway. Sometime in early high school we decide to go out and camp during the long weekend. Parents are all used to it, don't really care. Pack up and hike out into friends' property, which is massive. Get to our usual camping spot and notice it's fucking trashed. Not like litter, but the shit itself looks like a tornado went through it. Figure maybe it was a big dust devil. There's weird scorch marks in the dirt. Pieces of rock almost look melted together. We figure it must have been big fireworks. There's kind of a weird smell in the air, but it's easily ignored. We decide to stay. Rebuild a fire pit. Everything is fine until the sun goes down. Then we start hearing shit. Sounds like really raspy mumbling. None of us have heard anything like it before, so we're all kind of on alert. Sound is getting closer, seems to be moving in a circle around camp. None of us are armed, but one of us has a hunting knife. Doesn't really make us feel safer though. Way too dark to hike back, we're basically stuck out here. Over the course of about an hour, the sound fades and gets louder randomly. The more we listen to it, the more we start thinking it's not really chanting. It's more like that weird humming sound power lines make. Smell like hot sand. Friend with the knife is convinced we're gonna get fucking abducted by aliens or something. Starts freaking out and throwing flaming pieces of wood out into the dark. We're telling him he's an idiot and that it's probably just some weird animal. Then one of the pieces hits something about 50 yards away. Get a brief glimpse of something rust-colored and almost the texture of steel wool. Had that same kind of loopy ribbon look, if that makes sense. Whatever it is definitely not a human or animal. We all start chucking pieces of flaming stuff at it. It doesn't seem to care. Eventually there's enough debris that we can get a better look at it. It was like a squarish stick figure, kind of like those cockopelli things but without the hair. It's made of this shifting rusted wire looking material. It's letting out that weird humming sound. The ground it touches starts to burn and scorch. Circles the camp a few times like it wants to come closer but doesn't want to get close to the light. We're all peeing ourselves thinking we're about to die. Suddenly it lets out this really loud metallic shriek and fucking flies backward like it's rocket powered. Everyone flips shit. We leave the gear and sprint all the way back to the car. Peel out. Come back for our stuff like a week later, most of it is burnt. Never camp there again.
Was like 8 or 7. Running a really bad fever. Parents don't know what to do. Call 999. They say put him in that bathtub full of cold water. So they do. Remember just being super cold and then all of a sudden like I was burning hot. Instantly no one can see us. Does this pop somewhere in the middle of my brain? I open my eyes. I'm floating about 2 feet above my body looking up at the ceiling. Not a ceiling anymore. Hard to describe. I'm looking at some kind of desert. Looks almost like pictures of Mars. Really bleak, seems to go on forever. Then there's a click. And an explosion a little ways away. Watch the smoke and fire for what feels like hours. Then I feel another pop and I'm back in my body. Parents rush me to A&E, end up having a super bad case of the flu. Years later. In Afghanistan. We're out in the middle of nowhere. Humvee is keeping to a pre-designated path to try and avoid IEDs. We're just in a random spot in the desert and all of a sudden I get this terrible feeling. Tell driver to stop. He does. Asks what's wrong. I tell him there's a bomb up ahead. They check it out. Sure enough, there's fucking signs of a fresh dig. It's enough that it would have fucking vaporized us. Remember the night in the bathtub? Have absolutely no explanation for it.
When I was 13 I had a sleepover with a bunch of other girls at a friend's house. We decide to play the Ouija board at like 1 in the morning since no one can sleep. A couple girls chicken out. Rest of us, maybe 5 girls, are all sitting in a circle with our hands on the planchette, asking usual stupid questions. Not getting any answers except ones that are obviously one of us fucking with the others. Someone makes it say some swear word or whatever and all of us start laughing. Atmosphere is basically ruined. Not even touching the planchette anymore. Stop laughing after a while and realize we can't find it. It is literally nowhere. Someone crawls under the bed to look for it in case it ended up there. Girl under the bed stops talking. She comes out looking confused and freaked out. Asks friend if we can move her bed. We do. There's the planchette. Except it's fucking half sticking out of the solid wood floor. Like it melted into it. When we touch it, it's room temp. Not hot. We can't move it even a little. None of us know what to do or how to explain it. End up moving her bed back and chucking the Ouija board outside. Friend moves out years later. Parents never notice it somehow. Probably still there Disu.
It's fine man, I'm an abductee too. No one will believe it in real life but you're welcome to talk about it here. Taken 10 years ago in August. Was driving a rig to Bellevue and took a wrong turn. Knew the route was just spaced out. Ended up on a very small 2-lane that I definitely should not have been on. Can't turn around, gotta keep going forward. Blacktop turns into shitty concrete, turns into dirt, but again can't turn around. So I go about 3 miles and then I can't go anymore. A lot of roads in that area are decombed logging roads, so they just end. This I guess was one of them. Sitting in rig trying to decide what to do. Start reflecting that it's really strange that I took a bad turn. I've done it before but not in a long time. Kind of just feel off. Check myself, rig, etc. Nothing seems wrong except that I've got this really weird rash on one of my shins. Looks really similar to road rash. Pants are ripped in that spot. Do not remember getting this at any point prior. Check clock on rig, says a good time. Check phone, no service but phone works. Correct time but it's the next day. Fucking impossible.jpg. Get out of rig, look around. Looking up at the trees. In one, at least 30 feet off the ground, there's a shred of cloth. It's my fucking pants. I'm freaking out by now. I end up backing the entire way down the road. Join back up with good roads a ways down. Get to Bellevue. Boss is fucking pissed, I've been AWOL for 24 hours. Mileage on my truck corroborates my story in that I only went the distance I was supposed to and no further, but no one believes me. Barely avoid losing my job, something fucking took me, and I lost an entire fucking day. I don't know where I went, but I haven't felt the same since it happened. Contributing. This is all 100% true, but no one ever believes me. In 8th grade, wake up one morning before school. It's still dark out. Assume I must have woken up too early. About to go back to sleep when my alarm goes off and scares the shit out of me. It's the middle of spring, it shouldn't be dark. Wonder if I'm still dreaming. Super confused, no idea what's going on. Mom comes into my room like usual. She seems really out of it too. Ask her what's going on. Says to get up and get ready for school. She doesn't even mention that it's dark. Do some things that convince me that I'm not dreaming, i.e. pinching/reading. Decide to just go with it since I have no idea what else to do. Get ready for school, clocks say it's about 6:45. Definitely should be getting light out, but it's not. Dad and younger siblings also seem really out of it. No one is talking much. Everyone's just shuffling around getting ready. Even younger brother doesn't want to say much. We all head off to school. Nope, still dark. Bus comes to pick us up, same fucking thing. Everyone's out of it, no one's talking. Sit next to a friend of mine. Ask him what the hell's going on. He shrugs and acts like he doesn't know what I'm on about. What the hell.exe? We get to school, it's almost 7:30. The sun isn't up. I start getting more and more freaked. By 10 I'm literally panicking, still dark and no sign of dawn. No one is talking about it. Ask the teacher WTF. She also acts like I'm talking gibberish. Don't know what else to do, end up just pretending to be okay with it. Hang out with friends at lunch, quietest I've ever heard it. Go home, spend the night in my room. Say I'm not feeling good, but really I just feel like I'm losing my mind. Like seriously, I thought I had completely lost my mind. Eventually pass out despite being panicked. The second my head hits the pillow, it's morning. Feel like I've just slept 8 hours. It's light out. Instant relief. Mom comes in, gets me up. Tell her about my dream. Huh, maybe it was your way of dealing with yesterday. Stomach drops. What? You were in such a strange mood all day, Anon. You just sulked around like something was wrong. Get up, turn on news. It's tomorrow. Yesterday happened. I was not dreaming. Talk to everyone and here's the version they told me. I woke up and wouldn't say anything to anyone. Was really distant and cold all day. Everyone said they thought something must have been wrong. I kept talking about how the sun wouldn't come up. Parents thought I was hot. Friends thought I was possessed. No one remembers the day the way I do. No idea what happened that day in 8th grade.
10. Inner woods with Boy Scout troop. Backpacking along a trail near base of Mount Bachelor. Gonna camp near a lake and do Boy Scout stuff, fuck yeah. Me and my best friend Jay are super hyper and excited to put up our tent. My dad bought it for us. It's a special one that's made for 2 people. Has a cool skylight so we can see the stars. Scoutmaster keeps having to tell us to shut up and pay attention. Get to camp, SM tells everyone to set up around the site. It's one of those ones that's definitely a campsite but doesn't have buildings or showers. Forest is behind us, camp is sort of just inside the tree line. In front is a stretch of meadow and then a big pond. To the sides are more forest. In the middle of camp there are big logs set up in a circle and a fire pit in the center. Jay and I decide we don't want to camp near the other fags, so we pick a spot way out on the edge of camp away from the trees and closer to the pond. Scoutmasters don't want to let us, but they're too busy with the others that they decide fuck it and let us set up. It's me, Jay, and about 10 other fags, by the way. 3 Scoutmasters, all pretty cool. One is an older guy, the other 2 are probably in their 30s. Anyway, we all get set up and the SMs tell us we're gonna go swim in the lake. A hell-eyes JPG. Jay and I engage hyperspeed and fly into our suits and are in the water before the SMs even have a chance to say anything about it. Splashing and fucking around, water is nice and warm because it's summer and the pond is small. Everyone else gets in, we start a game of Marco Polo. Guy who's it is about 10 feet from me. Get that weird hyperactive mania paranoia, and the closer he gets the more I'm flailing around and splashing to get away. Dude is about to touch me so I sink to try and touch the bottom to kick off. Something stabs into the bottom of my foot. Jesus, it hurts. Fly up out of the water screaming. Everyone knows something is up so they help me get out of the water fast. Old SM looks at my foot. Looks like a stick or something punctured it really cleanly. Not that deep, but it's bleeding pretty bad. SMs take me back to camp and try to figure out what to do. It's too late in the day to pack out, it was basically sunset. Try to decide if they need to send me and the old SM down alone. Luckily the bleeding is slowing down and we can see it's not as bad as we thought. They asked me if I want to leave. Fuck no, JPG. Already it's not hurting as much and I just want to get back in the water. SM bandages it up after cleaning it but says I can't get back in the water because amoebas. Have to sit and watch everyone fuck around. Eventually they all get out and we split into groups of 2 and get stuff to make a fire. Sun is almost down, SMs make dinner for us. When it's dark, one of the SMs gets out stuff for s'mores. Jay and I are fucking stoked, we offer to pass the stuff out to make it all go faster. Give everybody enough to make 3 s'mores each. Get to last guy. There's not enough. Ask SMs for more, they say there isn't any. We tell them there is not enough and show them that we all got 3 each except the last guy. SMs are super pissed, start asking which of us is stealing more. None of us are. They decide they must have just miscalculated and they each give one of theirs to the last kid. Everything's cool now, SMs just kinda laugh it off. Tell each other ghost stories until everyone is scared shitless. Right then counselors douse the fire and tell us it's time for bed. Oh my god, fuck eggs. Get into our tents. Jay and I don't want to admit it, but we're both really regretting setting up so far from everyone else. Way too late to move camp. We decide to leave his lantern on outside facing toward the trees. Both of us lay awake and look up through the skylight. Hey, Jay whispers. What? I have a story. A ghost story? Yeah, I didn't tell it because it's too scary. Immediately call bullshit. He starts telling me this story. When he was little, his granddad told him about how something lived out in the high desert and mountains. He called it the Wendigo, but as far as I know he wasn't an Indian or anything. He told Jay that it was a monster made of flesh that could look like anything it wanted and that nothing could make it stop being hungry. Nothing could make it full or happy. He said it was all that was left of someone from a long time ago who did something very bad. Told Jay that if he ever felt the thing near him or if stuff didn't seem right, that he needed to listen to his instinct and get out of there. Jay asked how he knew about it, and his granddad told him he'd met it once. He'd gotten lost and was starving to death because the berries were all inedible and he couldn't catch anything else. He said he collapsed and watched as something impossible came out from behind a large boulder. It was like something was wearing his image. It looked like him, but it was not him, and he felt that acutely. He watched it walk up to him slowly and kneel down in front of his face. Grandad was scared shitless and didn't know if he was dying or dead or if this was hell or what. The thing that looks like him sounds exactly like him, and it says that if he doesn't make a deal with somebody soon, he's gonna die. Grandad starts praying loudly, but the thing just waves it off. The thing tells him that he's starving, and it goes into detail about what that means, how his fat is melting away, how his muscles are being sucked dry and are turning to mush, how even now the calcium from his bones is being stripped like a coal mine for anything valuable. It tells Grandad that it will only get worse, and that if he doesn't do something quick, the pain is going to continue until he dies. Tells Grandad that he absolutely needs to eat something. Keeps saying that, you need to eat, you need to eat. Grandad screams that there is nothing, and the thing that looks like him just laughs. Of course there is, it says. And it points at his legs. Grandad is absolutely flipping shit now. Tries to pull out his rifle and shoot the thing. He's too weak, and the thing seems really upset. It's frowning, and it looks like the skin it's wearing is loosening. Grandad says it looked like a loose dress. Suddenly the skin sloughs off in this awful paper-tearing noise and falls to the ground, where it turns into dirt. What's left is this shapeless dry thing made of ancient flesh and bloody dirt. Embedded in its gut is a disgusting ancient deer skull. It's held in there by bloody, wet dirt. Blood is fresh. Arms are gangly and end in 3 long fingers. Head is almost cylindrical, like a can. It is clearly not a human head. It has 2 very small black eyes in the center of the face. It looks down at him. From somewhere in the thing a horrible high-pitched noise rings out. Grandad said it sounded like an insect. Thing crumbles into a cloud of dirt and bone fragments and is gone. Running on pure adrenaline, Grandpa picks himself up and sprints at least a mile or 2 until, by sheer luck, he stumbles upon a hunting camp. Survives but refuses to go in the woods again. Says the thing is still looking for him and that it'll come for Jay too, so he needs to be careful. Jay finishes with that and we're both quiet for a minute. Don't want to admit it, but I'm freaked the fuck out. Tell him that's the most bullshit story I've ever heard. He knows I'm lying and asks me if I think it's weird about the mores. I tell him to knock it off and let me sleep. In reality, I'm shifting in my sleeping bag and too afraid to talk or move anymore. Jay somehow falls asleep after a while. I can hear him snoring. Eventually get myself to calm down enough to pass out. Have really weird dreams, keep waking up not sure if I'm actually awake. Seems like the night has been going on forever. Jay is snoring and that keeps messing with my dreams. At one point have a dream that there is something out in the pond and it's making this really weird heavy breathing noise. Like it's having to rip each breath inside of it. My eyes fly open and I can still hear the sound. Looking up at the skylight. It's so dark I can't even see the sky. I can move, but I'm absolutely petrified. Frozen in place, eyes wide open. Jay is snoring but there is something underneath it. It's that same fucking breathing. That's when I realize it. The lantern is off. I should be able to see the stars. The fabric of the tent rustles. Something is looking down into the tent. I can barely make it out, but it's huge. It covers the entire skylight with just its head. I move slightly and something catches just enough light from the moon to spark in its tiny beady black eyes. It's looking at me. It doesn't have a face. It feels like my heart is frozen in place. I have no idea if I'm awake or dreaming. I'm shaking and slowly inching my hand toward the edge of my sleeping bag. The thing and I are locked in this stare down for at least 15 seconds. Finally get my hand around the bag and yank it over my head. Curl into a ball at the foot of the bag. Realize I've pissed myself. Don't even care. I can't hear the thing rustling around outside the tent. It's making this kind of rubbing noise. Can only describe it as insect legs rubbing together. It brushes the tent near where I'm curled. Try to scream but it won't come out. Thing fiddles with the zipper for a second. My heart can't take much more. I feel like I'm going to pass out. The thing moves on. It's quiet. I pass out from sheer exhaustion. Wake up the next morning groggy and stiff. Remember last night and it all feels like a dream. Still really freaked out, but I'm not gonna tell Jay about it. It was probably just a really bad dream. SMs make us breakfast, Jay is in a good mood and cheers me up pretty quick. Forget about everything and have an awesome day in the woods earning badges. Jay is in a really good mood, makes me laugh like a motherfucker. We keep sneaking off to fuck around by ourselves. SMs just kinda let us do our thing as long as we stay close. Night comes around and we do another campfire. This time we just roast marshmallows since we're out of Esmore's stuff. Telling stories and Jay says he'll be right back, he has to pee. SMs tell him not to go farther than the tree line. He walks a ways past camp toward the pond and I lose sight of him in the dark. He comes back a minute or two later and sits down. SM is telling a really good ghost story, so I don't really pay attention to what he's doing. Hear him crunching on something and look over. He's eating a s'more. Bat JPG. You jerk, you're the one that stole, I said. He doesn't say anything, he just keeps eating. What the hell, I ask him again, he still doesn't say anything. One of the young SMs notices and gives Jay a really angry look. Gets up and comes over. You need to give me that right now, he says to Jay. Jay doesn't even look at him, he just makes this kind of crying noise. What the hell is going on? Jay is acting completely weird, I'm getting a bad feeling in my stomach. The SM tells him to get up and he takes his shoulder. Hear something crunch. Sounds like a dead leaf. SM yanks his hand back. There's a fucking dent in Jay's shoulder. Jay stops eating his s'more and looks at me. It looks like something wearing Jay's skin and it doesn't fit quite right. His eyes are saggy and the mouth is too low. Suddenly, impossibly, Jay's voice comes from behind the group, which is now quietly watching the SM and Jay. Sorry, I was coming right back but something knocked me into the pond, I don't know what it was but it. Jay jogs back into the circle and sees something is really wrong. Looks at the thing wearing his skin. He goes completely white. The thing looks back at him and the skin kind of bunches up in the center of the face. Jay walks back toward the pond slowly, keeping its eyes on Jay. No matter how far away it gets, its head turns to keep Jay in view. The skin on its face is doing something but it's too dark to see what, exactly. It gets to the water with its head basically turned totally backwards. Old SM turns his huge flashlight on it without saying anything. All of us are dead quiet and shifting ourselves. No one moves. Jay's face pulls tight, so tight that the eyelids turn inside out. Skin rips and crumbles into dirt. The thing wiggles free like a caterpillar from a cocoon. It's ancient and withered and bony in the wrong places. Looking at it hurts my brain, nothing about it makes sense. The lumpy, tube-like head tilts sideways and then rotates back to the front as it turns to face us again. There's a fucking deer skull embedded in its stomach. Even from here I can smell the thing. It's both dry and dusty and also festering and damp and sour, like the mud from the bottom of a deep river. The thing lets out an ear-splitting screech. Everyone shuts their eyes and claps their hands over their ears. Manage to open one eye enough to see it slip back into the water. The sound cuts off as it goes under. All of us sit there, stunned. No one says anything. Then, basically as one, we all get up and sprint to our tents. SMs holler at us to stay inside until morning and not to come out for any reason. Jay and I cram ourselves into one bag. He's shaking badly and he keeps saying that was it, it came back, he said it would, it came back. Tell him to shut up and be quiet. All night we can hear something swimming quietly in the water. The next morning we all throw our shit together and get the fuck out. Jay and I stopped talking to each other. Didn't really mean to, he just withdrew to the point that I couldn't reach him. Haven't spoken to him or anyone else from that trip since, and that ends is the scariest thing that has ever happened to me.